Welcome to the Sharpe Club. Yes, it is a little bit past 9 p.m. on the East Coast. You're saying, Larry, I thought you're a 7 p.m. guy. I usually am, except Mondays. Mondays are special days. Why? Yeah, I just decided they're special, so they are. So now we're doing 9 p.m. And I'm very happy today at the Sharpe Club to be talking about an issue that I think a lot of us should be talking about if we're not. Some of us actually are, and that is the idea of localized government versus national government, right? Everyone's talking about the president and the senators and the congressmen, and they're important-ish, as are the other people who are local. They are also important. To help me out with this conversation, I'm bringing aboard some people who you may know, you may have seen before, and some maybe not. But one person I bring aboard he is a comedian, a journalist, a filmmaker, a former mayoral candidate and gubernatorial candidate. He's not playing games. The man himself, Travis Irvine. How are you, sir?
Hello, Larry. Good to be with you as always. You're looking sharp.
Every day, brother. Every day. Absolutely. So, yes. So, also, I'm bringing aboard another local activist, also, and a radio show host here in New York, the man himself, Craig Miles. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Larry?
I'm doing awesome. And then the one, the only, Doni Anthony, a.k.a. Doni the Don, activist and former mayoral candidate also, Doni Anthony. How are you? I can't hear you, Doni. What happened to your sound? You got to put your sound on.
How's it going, guys? I'm great. I'm blessed.
We go. Now we got you. We all good. I'm so happy. Look, the thing I want to bring up right away that really bothers me is every time there's a problem, something happens. There's the problem, whether it's in Ohio, like a big problem like that, or a small problem, like there's a local robbery. It doesn't matter. Any problem that happens, almost always the first thing somebody says is, why isn't the president doing something? Why isn't Congress doing something? Or you'll hear also, we need federal legislation. I constantly hear that when sometimes that's the last thing we need. Why do we go there? Why do we almost never go local? And nobody knows. I've answered my own question. Then there's no answer.
I'll jump in. I'll jump in.
Doni, please, credits.
I'll jump in. I believe it's. I think it's because people actually don't know how the government operates. They don't understand the role the government, the federal government has, or the state level has, or the local level. So I think they jump to the presidency because that's what they're paying attention to. That's when they're faced every single day is federal, federal, federal. So they assume that the president is their mayor. And they assume that the president is their county commissioner. It may be different in different states. But I think it's a lack of education to understand the role the government plays.
But then isn't that the media then literally kind of telling them, look at, Biden or Trump, look at them. Isn't the media telling them, look at them, instead of saying, hey, talk to your local legislator, talk to your local, alderman or whatever the case may be. Isn't this a media issue or no?
I could see the media playing a role in this. I could see the media playing a role in this just because television news is more accessible to everybody. Yeah. So they turn on the TV and they see them talking about Biden and the president and Congress. And a lot of folks, to Doni's point, don't even know their state legislator. They don't even know their state senator. They don't know the process of when city council meets, or maybe you have a township council. Maybe it's very small and you live out in the rural areas of America and you don't even know who is in charge of your respective area. But I would just
Travis, I live in the biggest city in the country and I couldn't tell you when the next local thing is. And I live in the biggest city in the country. So It's not just rural. I think it's probably almost everywhere that most people don't know, when the local meeting is or whatever the case may be. I think it's insanely common that people don't know at all. But let me push back on this, though. If you're actually older than 50, you are probably watching TV. If you're under 30, you're probably not watching TV. If you're in the middle, sometimes you watch for certain things, sometimes you don't, back and forth, right? So, but when you do look at TV, unless you're looking at cable news, aren't you looking at local news? Or am I wrong here?
You're wrong.
Greg,
you're wrong. You are watching a local news station, but you're watching national news on your local news station because I went to school for this. I was going to be in media. I was going to be cool. And right at the same time, all of the mom and pops got bought up by the same 5 media companies. They fired everybody that worked there, or they retired and then they just never bothered to fill the positions. And now it's 5 people at each television station or newspaper. There's hardly any local newspapers anymore. They all run AP news pieces or something from the national headquarters. And then the stories they do run, the local stories, are all about drugs and crime and all of these things that the federal government has now also offered strings to county sheriffs and everybody to enforce. So yeah, it's trickle down. They say trickle down doesn't work. It's working just fine. It all comes and you think it's local, it's nuts.
And
so what you're saying is,
can I ask real quick, what the media does have a responsibility in a sense, but I think a big piece is education has failed people. The media can't trick you or turn your attention away if you actually know what you're being educated on. Have been educated to understand that our mayor elections or our county elections matter, or are we just going through the textbook? Is a teacher gone the extra mile to discuss how important it is for them to know how important our local stuff is? Actually, when I went to the state capitol, in multiple occasions, I saw kids going to the Capitol for field trips. So myself personally, when I was in school, I've never had that experience. I was never really taught that until I got into college when we focused on Texas state government. So I think it's a failure in the education system not to make sure they understand how important that is so the media doesn't trick them.
So now that goes deep, because I think this goes to what Craig was just saying.
I wonder if it's a failure or if it's a feature. That's what I wonder.
Yeah, right. Is the federal government, as it puts its strings on local, school districts, is it making sure that, if you're that teacher who wants to do that, Doni, you don't belong here. Maybe you should go find work someplace else. Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be that too, right? And then the best teachers go, why should I be a teacher when I could be an administrator, make a whole lot more money, and just follow government rules, and there's no kids? So win-win? Is it both?
For them, sure.
That's what I'm saying.
She nailed it. She nailed it right there. It's for them. It's all for them. Everything is for them. And this is very simple once you understand it. Everybody always acts surprised when their governments fail them, whether it's state, whether it's local, whether it's national. They're always, always, always surprised. And they shouldn't be, because it's always, always, always for them. You're just the thing that legitimizes whatever they do, because you're the needy person. Go ahead.
So let me walk down this road then. Are they actually right then? Meaning that local has been neutered by federal so much that actually local can't do much anymore. So kind of they are right to yell at Biden or Trump or whomever, because, well, local's been so neutered it can't do anything. I feel like that's what we feel. But Doni, you've been traveling. Is it real? I mean, are our emotions the same as reality here, or no?
I'm sorry.
Did I lose Doni?
Yeah, it keeps going in and out on me for some reason. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, no worries. I'm saying, did the federal government actually neuter local government so badly that local government actually isn't very powerful anymore, and we should be mad at the federal government? Or is that not true and just how we feel?
I think we should be upset with the federal government, because you also know too, a lot of times if the police departments do not enforce the laws that they want, they can lose funding, they get threatened. So yeah, the federal government definitely has a huge major role in this problem.
So does that mean sanctuary cities are a good thing? I hear it, if you're on the right, you go, sanctuary cities for Second Amendment's awesome, but for immigration's bad. If you're in the left, you go, sanctuary cities for immigration's great, but for 2A's bad. So like either way, left or right, you're pissed off at one sanctuary city, but happy about the other. Is that a good thing? I mean, Travis, tell me, you've run for mayor and governor. You've done both of the things. So is sanctuary good or not?
Well, I wanted to bring up an example that's here in Ohio right now. You mentioned the East Palestine train wreck.
Oh, yep.
And that's a perfect example of, well, what can the local government do? It's a town of 5,000 people. They don't have a huge tax base. Their mayor, God bless him, Trent Conway, keeps saying he's not built for this. And every time you see him on camera, it's like, yeah, he's not built for this. But that's
he's
because
a part-time mayor. That town,
exactly.
It's not like New York City where that's your job, right? He has a regular job and he's the mayor.
Exactly. But also in terms of the trains and the regulations, that is all the federal government. Right now, what our Ohio state government is trying to do is trying to add a few more safety regulations, even just notifying state officials when any kind of toxic chemicals are coming through on trains. But all of these rules are federal rules. So there's very little that the local government officials and even the state government officials in this particular situation can do, because all of the train railroads and all of these train lines are completely regulated by the federal government. So in this particular case, to your point, Larry, this is a situation where the federal government has absolutely hamstringed every other level of government because this is only regulated by the federal government.
All right. But then could they then, in theory, right, could the governor say, you know what, if you don't do these regulations, you can't come in my state. Sorry. No trains coming through my state. Not doing it. I will physically put my state troopers on the tracks with cars and buses. You have to hit buses to get through. Not going to happen. Is that something that could happen? It could be. I mean, physically that could be done. Can it legally be done? I don't know. Can it socially be done? I don't know. But could a governor say, "Hey, state troopers, park 2 school buses on the train tracks coming in and coming out"? And they got to go through school buses to get through, so they can't get through. I mean, what do you think?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so because of the Commerce Clause. The federal government has given themselves power to regulate commerce throughout the states, and they've also been using it to create the laws they have to control people. So, in the fact that the local governments have been dependent and wanting money and begging for money from the federal government, it's like got to remove themselves from the tip.
I like what you just said, Doni. The federal government gave itself power. Well done. Well done.
Well, she's right. She's right, too, about the Commerce Clause. That's a big deal because they said that's supposed to just be about trade between states, right? And, it goes between states, so it's not one state or the other, and that's where the feds come in. Okay, you can make that argument. But they've extended that. Back in the 40s, there was a fella that tried to grow wheat. He wanted to grow wheat to feed his animals. And they said, no, you can't do that because we've got these rules about how much wheat can be grown and all this and can be sold. And he's like, I'm growing it for myself. He's like, yeah, but that means you're not buying it from someone else. And that's a violation of the Interstate Commerce Clause. And you're going to jail. Right?
Wow.
That was FDR, the guy that saved us all, and yeah,
he saved us all right after he put Japanese people in concentration camps, and right after he literally confiscated all of our gold. Yes. Right after that, he saved us.
Yeah.
Right after
and
that.
And then he put farmers in jail for trying to feed their animals. Yes.
Right after that. Yes. Right after
and we wonder
those things, and he saved us.
And we idolize that guy, and we wonder why our country is a mess.
Yeah. Well, because he saved us. Craig, duh. Okay.
I don't know. I guess we're all saved still. Then we're just getting more and more saved.
Then he died. We weren't saved anymore. That's the problem. If we just would live forever, we'd be fine. Anyway.
I guess. Yeah. If he'd had 16 terms, that would have been okay.
That would have been the answer. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Travis. I'm sorry.
I just want to add to what you asked, Larry, about the governor doing something, because certainly we have the 10th Amendment, right? And anything that's not handled by the federal government is left up to the states. But this is another area where our governor, Mike DeWine, who I ran against in 2018, is completely bought and paid for by the railroad company in question, Norfolk Southern. So no, he's not going to put up state troopers on the state lines and not allow Norfolk Southern trains into this state because they contributed over $30,000 to his campaigns and his inaugural committees over the last 10 5 years. So again, political will. Doni made some great points. Obviously, the Commerce Clause in terms of how we are hamstringed by laws, but don't forget that we are in a corporatocracy, and the corporations buy and own a lot of these politicians on both sides. Another problem with the big duopoly, the two-party system, is that it's so easy to buy either side. And a lot of the research that we're seeing now is that Norfolk Southern has contributed equally to politicians in the Democrat Party and the Republican Party at the federal, state, and even local levels.
So see, they are equal opportunity corporatists. See?
Yeah.
They believe in equity when it comes to corruption.
Yes,
see? So
exactly.
Look,
and to maximizing their profits. Absolutely.
See, they're good. I used to not like the company, but as long as they have equity, I think we're okay now.
They're doing very well. Yes.
I now feel better.
Your point on sanctuary cities, Larry, before we go elsewhere.
I was going to walk down that road. Perfect. Keep going.
Yeah. I think, yes, sanctuary cities are a great idea if your local government is accountable to you. That's the big if. Here in Oneida County in New York State, where I reside, you were here with the no hospital thing. One of the big deals that everybody rolled their eyes at when people said there was a concern was a train derailment. This hospital that they bulldozed downtown to put the hospital there. So that was all right. You know the story. It's eminent domain. It's all bad.
Those you don't know that in downtown Utica, which is a city in New York State, for those you don't know, not a large city, but a decent sized city in New York State, in central New York, they decided that downtown they needed a hospital. Now, who decided that? The people? No. The leaders who were going to get a bunch of money from the people who were going to go put the hospital down there. They decided that. There were over 40 local businesses in that area, plus homeowners, people who own that area, people who were there, nonprofits were there. They threw them all out with eminent domain and bulldozed everything to build a hospital. Now, of course, people said no. They fought. I fought. It was my platform to stop it. They listened politely and nodded and then said, thank you for talking. They didn't even
do that. They called everybody idiots. They didn't even listen politely.
Then they called everybody idiots, and they attacked. Then they said I was a fool. Then they got mad. Then they bulldozed a bit. And they bulldozed businesses, I'm not joking, that were there for decades. And those businesses left the state.
There was one there for 100 years. The family, the Wilcourt, the Corrigans, they had they'd been there, and they're an international company. They sell stuff around the world. Goods. And they were proud to be in downtown Utica. This is a family that you would want. Everyone's talking about, the values. Nobody cares. These were people who were model citizens who had their business downtown for 100 years. And the mayor said, get out of here. He said this unironically. He says, listen, we're all making sacrifices here. What are you sacrificing, Mayor? Nothing at all. At all. But where I was going with that is it's in an evacuation red zone, this hospital now. So if there's a train derailment on the tracks, which is literally 2 blocks from where they're building this, everybody must evacuate the red zone. So now the only hospital that you have is in a train derailment red zone. And people said, hey, doesn't that seem like a big idea? Or like a bad idea? And all of the local people that were pushing this is, no, it's not a bad idea at all. That will never happen. It's the biggest news story on national television for how long now? They don't care. And that's the issue right there. We have to find a way, and I don't know what the way is. Right now, they feel like they can do whatever they want, and there's no repercussions. And
but hold on, in this case, Greg, hold on. In this case, you're talking about local doing whatever it wants.
Yes.
And my problem here is now I can't go either way, right? Because now they're all in cahoots. They're all supposed to be fighting each other, right? If we had our perfect world, local would be fighting state, state would be fighting federal, 10th Amendment would be fighting federal. We'd all be fighting each other, right? But we're not. We're all in cahoots because we're all Democrats or Republicans or whatever we are. Or we're all corporatists, as Travis says. So as long as we're all getting paid, I don't care what happens. So there's no recourse. So whether it's the case of Ohio when trains are going off the tracks and the corporatists are getting paid, or it's local, where some local thugs are getting a bunch of cash, there's no recourse, right? So if We went to the governor. We went there, Craig, and the governor was like, I don't want to talk to you. Cuomo at the time said nothing, didn't care at all, just walked away. We were like 40 businesses in New York State that are being displaced. At least half of them are not coming back to New York State, if coming back at all. And he was like, whatevs.
He was
state trooper butts.
He was pushing it. He was proud of it. He listed it, when he used to do the PowerPoints, be like, this is what we're doing for the next year, New York, and with Legoland, and the Utica Hospital was on that. He was proud. It was on one of his PowerPoints. He said, look at all the money. He gave $300 million to Utica for that. Yep. We had $1.5 million for the 9/11 Commission, but Utica got $300 million from the state of New York for a hospital where they could bulldoze. It's all, everything is literally a money-making scheme. That's all it boils down to. Yes. The more and more that I watch, that's what I learned. Everything is a money-making scheme.
So let me go to Doni. Doni, you've been going to these, made this like a little mission of yourself. You've been going to state capitals.
Yes.
When you go into state capitals, are you finding that people care? Are they getting it at all? Is this something just cool you're doing? I mean, what's the result? Are people starting to go, maybe I should petition my governor. Maybe I should petition my local state person. Maybe I should run for, state legislature. Is that happening or no?
Yeah, I'm seeing that happen. I've seen some people who are like, I'm going to run for my local seats now. They're more confident because they're like been listening and watching what I'm doing. And they're getting that more so not from my experience going to the the state congresses. It has been based off of things I've been sharing and talking about. But when it comes to the state congresses, my experience with them personally is probably the most least fun thing to do out of everything that I do with activism, because basically it's like going and begging for your rights back. And there's no reason why anyone has to beg for the rights back. And then the other problem is when you have laws that are being created and being introduced to the floor and then being passed, I said, hey, I'm here to let you know this law you're trying to pass here is actually unconstitutional. You're infringing people's rights. How about you scrap it and you guys don't do anything with it anymore? They say this. Well, we'll let the courts decide. Excuse me? Why don't you guys make sure it's constitutional in the first place? Did you not take an oath to the Constitution? Why do you want us to waste our time, money, everything? So you're okay with people being kidnapped, being extorted by the police, being put up for auction, becoming enslaved into the system, and then the court decides. What that tells me is either y'all are both in cahoots. We have no checks and balances in this country anymore. And the fact is, why are you even in office anymore if you are irresponsible, your decision-making that you make in office, and you're affecting our lives, not just our life, our liberty, our property, and our pursuit of happiness. They do not care because who owns them? The people who are donating thousands and thousands of dollars to their campaigns, and they answer to them. They do not care about the people. And people need to understand this. And you have to understand this, the Democrats and the Republicans, most times their donors are the exact same donors. Yep. And most times, and this is at the local, county, city, state level, federal level, same donors. And you guys know in Texas, we're having an issue with eminent domain. So I looked at Don Buckingham's donations. Her and Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, all of them have the same donors. So people on Twitter tell them about, do something, guys, do something. They're not going to do anything. They are getting funded by the same people. And so with the state capitals, I suggest everyone go. Because those who are hoping and waiting for a savior to come and save them, protect their rights, those who think a Democrat, Republican is going to take care of them, and either one is different than the other, they're not. Both of them are introducing legislation that is unconstitutional. Most of it's not sexy, so it's not going to be in the news, and you're not going to know about it.
Yeah. Yes. You're not going to know about it until you get arrested. Then you're going to be like, oh, this law is unconstitutional. And they're going to be like, great, you can talk to the courts while you're in prison for the next 30 years. And maybe you'll get out, but probably not. But you might, and good luck. Right. I literally have heard so many prosecutors say so many horrible things. It really, really disenchanted me on the system. I remember a prosecutor saying, he's innocent until proven broke. Ooh. And I thought, wow. Evil. And this is a prosecutor in New York State saying that out loud, like not even playing, he's innocent until proven broke. Done. Not caring. Or, it's probably wrong, but, he'll appeal. We'll see.
And Larry,
so he'll spend 2 years in prison or 2 years in jail. his life is ruined, then appeal, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And one more thing is too, the system like is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And then so what they do is they create these laws with such high punishments that it scares someone and it intimidates them and forces them to do a plea deal so they can get a record, or they get thrown in a cage, or they have to pay all this money. So that's a big problem. These prosecutors and DAs bank on that. So you know what?
Yes.
We're not going to put you away for 20 years. Let's do 10 years. And you're getting afraid that you're going to be locked in a cage forever. So you're like, okay, I didn't do it, but I'm going to plea out. Or the law's unconstitutional in the first place. It doesn't matter if you did it or not. It shouldn't be a law.
Yes, and the point you brought up is a valid one, because now once people admit to it, which is what you do and take a plea, that validates the law now, even if it's unconstitutional. So now the prosecutor goes, well, no, look, we're convicting people. Mm-hmm. So clearly it's a real law and necessary. These are criminals that will be on the street if we didn't have this law. But to your point, you're going, no, they're pleading because they're afraid. They don't actually believe it and it's unconstitutional. But that's not how the judges see it. The judges go, oh, people being convicted. Well, therefore it's a valid law. And they're actually doing that. Go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry.
No, I just something to add to that. You said it's about crime. It's not about crime. It's about taking advantage of poor minorities. That's what it's about. No, it's 100% what it's about, because they can't fight.
Hold on, Craig. Not even minorities anymore. Now it's just poor people.
Well, yeah, poor minorities. It started with poor minorities, but yes, poor people in general.
Yep. Now it's just poor people in general.
Because so they always point to the crime statistics and the violent crime statistics. They'll point to the prisons, and they'll say, "Listen, half of the people in prison are violent offenders." Well, the reason for that, though, is that if you're a violent offender, you're more likely to have a longer sentence, so you spend more time in jail. So yes, it is half of the people in there are for violent crimes, but the other half are more and more and more and more and more and more people cycling through for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever years. So they play with the statistics all the time to make you think it's a crime issue.
They don't say half the people who are convicted is violent. They say half the people in jail.
Right.
That's the difference.
But you think it means that half of the people that are getting arrested and convicted of crimes, right? They let you draw your own conclusion. So they do this thing with, and this isn't just the criminal justice system. This is all of, what did we go through with COVID, with all the statistics? They'll find whatever numbers they want, and they'll make them, mean whatever they want.
Something else. It's how they classify violent. If you have a gun charge, no matter what, you are classified as a violent felon, meaning I had a gun on me. Did you draw it? No. Did you shoot anybody? No. Did you do anything with it? No. It was physically on my person because I was scared. You are a violent felon. I'm not joking. That's how New York State works. If you have a gun charge, you are by default violent, regardless of what you've done. And there are many states who have laws like that. So if you are charged with X, regardless of what you've done, you are now classified as violent. So all I was doing was selling weed, but I had a baseball bat next to me in case someone tried to steal it. Oh, you had a baseball bat? Violent criminal. That's how that works.
It's crazy, man.
Yes. But the worst part is, and again, my biggest issue is there's no recourse. In my perfect world, and Craig, you probably heard me say this 1,000 times being in the campaign last couple of times, I say all the time, what's supposed to happen, it doesn't, but what's supposed to happen is that there will be local bullies. There are always local bullies, some local mayor or some local alderman who wants to take your farm or whatever, right? The boss hog, for those of you remember the Dukes of Hazzard, right? There's always a local bully. That's the way it is. I get it. But you're supposed to be able to go to higher courts to defend yourself against local bully. The state government isn't supposed to be making all these horrible rules. It's supposed to be defending you against local bullies. And when it does a horrible rule, that's when the federal government is supposed to come in and defend you against a state bully. That's what's supposed to happen. We're nowhere near that. In fact, the reverse is, as to your point, Doni, they're all on the same team.
Right.
So where do we go? I tell you where we go. The black market. And then we simply check out. We check out of the system. Either we check out in voting, we stop voting, or we check out of the actual system, we go to the black market, or we go off the grid. We just start checking out because we don't care anymore. And then all we're doing is paying attention to just, or worse, we're waiting for the savior.
Right.
Yes, you read my mind. That's where I was going because you do we saw it with Trump, right? We saw it with Trump. People said this system is garbage. This sucks. This is horrible, right? And they voted for Trump. Wrong choice. I mean, Trump was an outlier. He was. I do believe this. I do believe that he's out of there because he didn't play ball. He was not with the program, right? So he was too much his own person.
I'm not going to defend Trump in this regard, but I'm just be very forward here. A lot of Trump couldn't get a lot of stuff he wanted done because the system, the permanent government, slowed him down in every way possible. Permanent government did not want Trump doing anything. I mean, that's clearly obvious, right? Did not want Trump doing anything. Again, whether you like Trump's ideas or not, the permanent Washington completely shut him down to the best of their ability. Of course they would. To your point, they don't want him coming and changing stuff, right? This is their government. I don't know why he's here, right? This is their government. They don't want him messing up their game. They got money to make, and this Trump guy's in the way. And to be forward, if Bernie had won, the same thing would have happened. Because Bernie was also an outlier and still is an outlier. So if Bernie were to have won, or if Trump would have won, the permanent government would have shut them both down to the best of their ability. That's what they like, guys like Biden. Biden's one of them, right? Like, we love Biden. Biden's one of us. So good. They're happy with him. But, so I guess I'm just reiterating your point, right? People want a savior. So they want, Trump's going to come in and drain the swamp or whatever. Bernie's going to come in and give us all free Medicare or whatever. They all want the person to come in and save us because we feel the system doesn't work. So we want the guy to come in and shake things up in DC and fix things, right? We want that.
Right.
Hey, Larry, I actually have a different idea with Trump. I actually think he's a Trojan horse. I think it was intentional. It was all theater and a show, and I think they love him behind the scenes. This is why I say that. I do. Let me tell you why. He used to be a Democrat, right? He's a Republican. And he had a lot of people who said they walked away from being Democrat. They were Democrat and woke up the next morning, oh my gosh, I'm conservative now. And then they run for office. And so how do you get all these Democrats over into the right and then do this? I think Trump did a great job of having Democrats come over to the Republican Party pretending to be Republicans when they weren't. It was a fantastic Trojan horse. And I think that he played his role, and that's what his role was, because he said things like take the guns first, due process later. That's not conservative. That's not constitutional.
I remember that.
He did push these vaccines and things of that nature, not like saying, oh, you have to take it or else, but he was going after the governors who opened up too soon. I think that it was theater. I think they love him behind the scenes. If they really hated him that much, he would not be free right now. He'd be in a cage right now. So I really think that this is a part of the plan to make us think that they don't like him, but he did a lot of the things they wanted him to do anyways.
So you think Trump is controlled opposition?
Yes.
Wow.
And he deceived me. And I was a MAGA chick. I had a jersey, had everything. And now I'm looking at things differently. Carrie Lake over in Arizona, Democrat, all of a sudden I'm Republican, turns into a superstar, overnight basically as a conservative superstar. I kind of look at things a little different. And sometimes I'm like not right, but most times I'm right.
Hold on. So you're telling me, okay, I love you going down this road. I'm not mad. I love this. It's great.
She's not the first one I've heard say this. I've heard people
is that right,
say
Craig?
that I've heard that he's controlled opposition. Yep.
All right. So okay. So this is the deal. So I'm a Democrat out of New York. I can't win. I can't move forward. So I just go, you know what? I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican now and MAGA. And all of a sudden now I'm a star. Is this like what Tulsi's doing? That's kind of Tulsi, isn't it? Or no?
No, I don't feel like Tulsi ever went full-blown Trump support or anything. But what I will say is, look at Dr. Oz, Democrat the whole time, decided to run as a Republican, another Trojan horse. And then guess what they started doing? They started attacking people who are really conservatives running in primaries in order to get Dr. Oz. So if Trump really wanted good people and he knows that his endorsements mean something, it's not all about winning for him, he would have endorsed the right people when he had the opportunity. But instead, he decided to endorse super rhinos, which I don't think rhino is a real word anymore. I think it's just Republican Party, or Democrats pretending to be conservatives.
I like that. Hold on. Let me do a little bit of admin if I could real fast. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, what you're watching, do me a favor, click that like button right now. It does matter. Click the like button so I can get past all those algorithms that I need to get past. Please click the like button. It does matter. If you're watching, you like it, So don't be stingy. Click the like button, right? If you like it, or you're not watching, but you are watching. You still listen to me, so click the like button. If you happen to be watching this on Twitter, then please retweet this right now. Just retweet it right now so that people can see it. It does matter. I bug you every time because I need you to do it. So please do it. You forget because the conversation is so stunning and awesome that you forget to do this. I understand. I'm not mad at you. It's great conversation. But now I'm telling you, we've stopped for a few seconds. Do the retweet. It does matter right now. And support the people here who have given us some of their own time. Please follow Travis at Travis Irvine USA on Twitter, Doni the Don _ on Twitter, and Diff Frequencies on Twitter. Please follow them all. It does matter. All right, guys. And also, by the way, Travis also has a film he made when he ran for a mayor called AmericanMayorMovie.com. Go there, AmericanMayorMovie.com, and check it out. So, all right.
That out. Nice.
See that? There we go. Doni, you might learn a few things. Run for mayor next time. See that?
Hey, I might run for mayor again. I might look at lieutenant governor one day. We'll see.
Ooh, excuse me. You're not playing around. Are you serious? Okay, I like it. I like it. So this controlled opposition thing, Travis, tell me, are you on board with this or no?
Well, it's a fascinating theory. I will literally believe anything. So why the hell not? I did want to make a point, though, about that whole savior complex, because you're absolutely right. I mean, just since we're on the topic of national government versus local government, keep in mind the voter turnout increases only in presidential election years. And it's when everyone, it's in the news. We were talking about the media earlier. Craig made a great point. We've got a lot of news deserts now because all the local newspapers are going away. So people get more involved when this savior complex in the American political system is happening every 4 years. And then they seem to check out the next 3 years, which is a tragedy because Doni made a lot of great points. You know, the nice thing about local government, and you can see this in my movie, American Mayor, available at AmericanMayorMovie.com, I believe.
Yes.
That's where, you know, you can go to City Hall and talk to the mayor, talk to the city council, talk to the city auditor. That's a nice thing. That's supposed to be the nice thing about local government is that you can go, you can show up, you can voice your opposition, you can voice your opinion, and they are supposed to listen. And even if they choose not to listen, as what I decided to do in my hometown of 14,000 people is when City Hall wasn't listening, I decided to run for office myself. And it's much easier to do at the local level. It's much easier to voice your opinion at the local level because Congress isn't going to listen to you. You're one of 800,000 constituents now just for your congressperson. Yeah. And that doesn't even matter with your senator or the president. So I think the biggest tragedy of this, the savior complex that you all were discussing, whether it's Trump or Bernie or whoever, it forces people to check out in election years that honestly matter more when it comes to things happening in your own hometown.
But the savior complex piece I want to bring up that bothers me more is now we stop caring about actual policies. Now we stop caring about, what the person's actually going to do. We just want someone to fix things. And we don't care how or what or when. And to your point, Doni, we don't even care about the Constitution. We don't care about the Constitution. We just care about fixing things, right? So the amount of times I've heard people say, we just need a good dictator. I hear that like every month someone says that. And by the way, you guys know that one of the sponsors of the show is the advocates.org, right? The Advocates, by the way, do the world's smallest political quiz. And if you want to help out the show, you can go to the advocates.org and take it. It would be nice if you would do so. Take it and share the results. Why does this matter? Because for decades, the Advocates has been giving out this survey. For decades, we've been giving out the world's smallest political quiz. And you can either be conservative, moderate, progressive, libertarian, or authoritarian. Now, the most common is moderate, believe it or not. That's the most common. There is no majority, right? There's no majority. They're all like 30% and less. But the largest chunk is moderate. The smallest chunk is authoritarian. So that's a good thing, right? But in the last 5 or 10 years, we have seen an increase in authoritarianism. Yes. And if you look at my Twitter account, when people do the right thing, which you should be doing now, which is taking that test and sharing it, when you see people do it, you'll be surprised at the amount of people who pop up authoritarian. They actually, and they share it. They don't care. Because someone once said to me, well, they don't realize they're authoritarian, right? It's a surprise. I'm like, no, Craig, I know you've done it. You've gone out into the into places and given the test out at like some libertarian thing or at a fair or something. We do it all the time. I do it. People come up with authoritarian and they go, yeah, that makes sense. We need people to fix things around here. We need a good dictator. They openly say it. They're okay with it. So I am a bit worried. I am a little bit worried. I think the savior complex encourages authoritarianism. It encourages us versus them. It encourages just shut up and get in line. It encourages let's put them all in cages. All the bad things you're talking about, Doni, I think this encourages all the bad things. Am I wrong here?
No, you're absolutely right. And that one thing I'm trying to really focus on is people stop looking so much at the left versus right. You're going to have authoritarians on the left and on the right. And there's a lot of people who like, oh, did y'all see Elon Musk put his little compass thing out the other day? He said he was a left-leaning libertarian. So you have left-leaning libertarianism and you have right-leaning libertarianism. And I think people need to start focusing more on that aspect so they can stop. They realize I have no representation. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. So, and then if you look at the Libertarian Party in this spectrum, well, if we can get along with those on the left, we can get along with those on the right in the libertarian spectrum, what do we have in common? What can we focus on? I think both sides can agree with eminent domain. Bad, bad, bad. I can agree with we both want to lower taxes. I agree we both want things that should not be unconstitutional, that should not be laws. I think we can focus on those things. You know, we can work on the cultural things in our local areas on our own, but when it comes to the government being used, we don't want it being used as a weapon. How would we focus on those things, and the left libertarian leaning and the right libertarian leaning can start grabbing more people to the party so that the left and the right can become more obsolete. If you think about the independents are about 40% of the population. Right now, they're going between the left and the right. But hey, independents, you may be on the bottom spectrum. We can start capturing those people too. But that's why it's so important to focus locally first, because it's going to take some time. And educating people and building other people so you're not just us four doing all the work. Say Doni has 1,000 people working on her behalf. Larry has 20,000, a million or whatever working on his behalf. So we're not always doing all the work. 20 million, you got this.
20 million.
That we have other people helping
I think
us.
The point you're saying matches kind of what Travis is saying, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm pissed off and I want to run for president, I'm totally wasting my time. Nothing's going to happen. It's not going to work. It's a colossal waste of my time, my energy. I'm fooling myself, right? I'm going to get off and get on CNN and Fox and win, right? That's not going to happen. If I'm lucky, I'll get on one ballot, right? If I'm lucky, I'll get on one ballot on one state that has an easy way of getting the ballot. That's all that's going to happen.
I disagree.
But I can run locally.
I disagree.
Like I could run for Congress tomorrow. I could run for city council tomorrow. I could run for my state legislature tomorrow. That's something I could actually do. I could get on the ballot. I could actually run. And if I have enough people from around the country to support me, I actually have a chance of actually making impact or even winning. So I think the local thing really is important in that regard. I mean, that's what you were saying, Travis, right?
But I don't think running for president is a bad idea, because how are you going to get national recognition? People can find someone they actually believe in, and that can trickle down and help the local races for libertarians across the United States. So say we have a libertarian who's a fantastic person. By the way, Larry, I was talking about this. I would love if you ever considered it yourself. That would trickle down.
I thought you liked me, Doni. I thought we were friends.
I love you. That's why I think it would be great if you did decide to run. But I think too, they're looking at the Democrats, looking at that black guy over there who's kind of like Obama. How about the libertarian have that kind of thing going on too, right? So, but the thing is that will trickle down and help other areas, other states, because if people don't even know the Libertarian Party exists, I don't know how that happens. I knew about it when I was a kid, but that will help the local races as well, especially those candidates are working together, which is Chase Oliver's brought up a lot.
No.
I
agree with you completely, right? And to be forward to about Chase Oliver, Chase and I were just in Jacksonville, Florida, just 2 weeks ago. We both went down there to support 3 people running for city council. Right. And Chase is running for president. Those you don't know, Chase Oliver, Chase for Liberty. If you want to check him out, Chase Oliver is running for president, has an exploratory committee for president. I don't want to get him in trouble. He's not officially running. He has an exploratory committee. Don't want to get Chase in trouble. He's got his exploratory committee. He went down there, so did I, to support local candidates. I agree. My point wasn't that we shouldn't run presidential candidates. I think third parties should. My point, though, is that the average person probably shouldn't run for president. They should follow Travis's, model, and then let somebody who's more popular, right? I mean, Chase is the reason for that runoff in Georgia. He's the reason. So he's popular, probably good choice to run for president, right? People now know him. He's popular, but he then can support people who are running local. I completely agree. My view has always been the top of the ticket has the best chance for press, but the least chance for victory. The bottom of the ticket has the least chance for press, but the highest chance for victory. So if the top of the ticket brings press to the bottom of the ticket, it's the best of both worlds. And I proved that. I know, again, Craig was there. He watched it. In 2018, when I got ballot access in New York State, I then crossed the state again in 2019, supporting local candidates. I brought the press and fundraising to those local candidates. We had 107 libertarians win election in 2019. We went from 0 libertarians to 107 in 1 year. Because I agree exactly what you're saying, Doni. We're on exactly the same page.
Cool.
Well, and not only that, but towards the end of the election this time around, Larry, you went all the way to the North Country multiple times to support a write-in candidate who had the entrenched Democrat up there. So it was the incumbent was not running. So there was a new Democrat that was going to run. She thought she had it in the bag. Then a libertarian spoiler came in with a write-in campaign. All of a sudden, oh my God, all of the Plattsburgh Democrats were losing their minds, and they need to be worried. We didn't win.
And when I showed up there, the press showed up.
Yep.
When I showed up, the press showed up for a write-in.
That got played.
Go ahead, Ed. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that got played not only in Plattsburgh, but they sent it to other stations. It got played across the state. So people were paying attention. And this is what you need. You need to remind these people that they're not the only option. Their meal ticket could be threatened. See, and most of the time they crack down hard and they kill the opposition, and then there's nobody to take place. But if you have a relentless stream of people that is constantly trying to hold their local representatives accountable, eventually you're going to break them somehow. But the problem is they just have more stamina because they can kick back on their feet and get their checks and all this stuff. You have a job, you have a family, you have these things, and they count on that. They count on you getting tired of it.
The point you just made is the hardest to deal with when it comes to third party. And that is, remember in this is true in both times. In 2018, when I ran for governor, there were 5 people running. I was the only one not getting a government check. Everybody else was being paid to run. In 2018, when I'm 2022, when I ran, I was a write-in candidate. There were 2 other candidates. Both of the candidates were both government officials getting paid. They get paid to run. They don't have to worry about paying bills. They don't worry about family. This is their job. So how do you fight against that when you're third party, when you're not in power? I think the answer is exactly what Travis is talking about. If you win the local election, a local seat, well, now you're getting paid like them. So now you run for the other seat, you're getting paid just like they are. At least it's even now. See that equity thing? It's all about equity, Travis. It's all about equity. So yes, there we go.
But that ties into something Doni said that I really liked, that 40% of the voting population, the registered voters in America, are independent. Right. Yes. So a situation where you do want to have a good national figure like Larry Sharpe or Chase Oliver or Gary Johnson, whoever it may be, you want them to build name recognition for a political party. But I know here in Ohio, for most of the cities, including the city that I ran for mayor of, we're nonpartisan races. So we don't have Republicans or Democrats or Libertarians or Greens. We just only have non-affiliated and independents running for office. And what that has led to, at least in our situation, is we do have Libertarian elected local officials, even though they're registered Libertarian, but they weren't elected as Libertarians. So we have Mayor Cassandra Fryman, who has gone out of her way to expunge weed possession records and people who are getting caught, unfairly by the police. And she'll take them to mayor's court and she'll say, "This is your first warning. You're free to go." We have people in city councils who are doing great things, including my running mate in 2018, Todd Grayson. He was a city council member of Perrysburg, Ohio.
Yes, I remember Todd.
And he ended up terminating a $3 million rip-off deal with the city of Toledo, where they were charging Perrysburg $3 million a year to run one bus line there, and it only came every few hours. So he saved his city $3 million just by running, again, as an independent and unaffiliated. So I really like what Doni said there, and that is the majority of the American voting population is independent. So we do want to build the third political parties. I wish we lived in a country where we had multiple political parties, just like so many of the other first world countries have at this point. But at the end of the day, again, talking about national versus local, the nice thing about local is you don't necessarily need an R or a D or an L or a G next to your name. It's just your name.
And the second thing is, right, I mean, we'll go back to the Trump thing. There are many reasons why Trump won, but I would say the number one reason why, not the only, but the number one, the tip top one was 11 years on TV as The Apprentice, right? I think that was his biggest thing, right? There are many reasons. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but of all the chunks, I would bet the largest chunk was that one, because so many people saw him as America's boss, right? They saw him as that guy, you're fired, and tough guy, you're fired, right? They saw him as that tough guy who would get stuff done, right? Businessman. I think people saw him as that. I feel like that was critical. So your point is a very valid one. If the individual becomes popular locally, they can win. Look at the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee. He's a Republican officially, but he's libertarian, right? And he was a wrestler. He was Kane, right? As a wrestler. People knew who he was, right? Glenn Jacobs is his name. Glenn Jacobs, right? People knew who he was. That had to help, right? It had to help. So even though he wasn't a traditional Republican, they were like, he's Kane. I don't care. He's Kane. Yeah, but he's not the same Republican that we've always had. Hey, who cares? There's someone on TV. I love the guy. I think that was a critical piece.
It reminds me of Jesse Ventura, 1998, ran with the Reform Party. He was mayor of his town in Minnesota, but then he ran for governor of Minnesota with the Reform Party. And again, wrestler, actor, a very, very much a household name, certainly at that time, especially in Minnesota. And that's what got him elected as basically an independent in terms of becoming the governor of a state.
I need to start an entire new career as a wrestler right now. Is what you're telling me, Travis. That's what you're trying to say.
That's what it sounded like, Larry.
Give him the old sharp elbow, Larry. Come on.
The people's elbow. Yes. The people's elbow.
Truly the
people's elbow. I like that.
Absolutely.
He's got the Liberty clutch.
Oh, there it is. That's the move. That's the move.
Careful, guys. We don't want to get flagged for violence here on YouTube.
That's true. Yeah, watch out. Yeah. No, it's not rich. It's WWE. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's WWE. It's fine.
It's not real. Don't worry, YouTube. It's not real.
It's fine. It's WWE, YouTube. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Absolutely. So, look, let me do a little bit of admin if I could once again, guys. Travis does have his cool movie. If you want to check it out, it's AmericanMayorMovie.com. Please check it out. And again, if you're watching, click that like button. It does matter. If you want to super chat me, you can. If you're on Larry Sharpe YouTube, you can super chat me if you want to. But no matter what, please, whether you want to support me directly with super chat or you can support me by supporting my sponsors, theadvocates.org. Head over to theadvocates.org. Take one of their surveys, anyone you want. They've got tons of surveys. They have a human respect test, a lot of cool things. I know you haven't taken every one of them because nobody has except me. So go take the one you haven't taken yet. Share the results of that and share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it out there so that people can see it. It does matter. It's free. It supports the show and it's free. If you do like this show, which is why you're watching, then do this to support the show. It does matter. Support my sponsors. Please do that. And of course, support these three wonderful people who are here. Check out Travis Irvine at Travis Irvine USA on Twitter. Please check out Doni at Doni the Don _ on Twitter. And please check out Craig at Diff Frequencies also on Twitter. And by the way, all the other contact info is in the description. If you want to check that out, please feel free. So I want to grab a couple of comments if I could. We got a bunch of comments. I'm going to grab some of them. Joel says, knee-jerk legislation is a bad idea. And I think when you go to savior complex and fear, you get a lot of that. You get a lot. And this goes to your point, Doni. People don't care if it's constitutional. People don't care if it works. People care, I did something and my name is on it. So now I can run for office saying, see, I did the everybody who's over 6'2" should go to jail law. See, I was fixing things, right? So that's it. I think that's a big problem. Many of you heard me say this before. Everything that we hate in America has come from afraid Americans. Whatever law you don't like, there was an afraid American behind it. You can guarantee, or multiple afraid Americans behind it. War on drugs, war on terror, war on guns, war on anything. It's because I'm scared. So save me.
And most of the time, the problem that they're scaring you with is already on the decline. It's already leaving. Every one of those you just mentioned, it was already over. Like war on drugs were declining. The war on guns, gun violence has been declining for years. Yes. All of these things have been declining, but
well, the war always gets us more, right? So the war on poverty gets us more poverty.
Yep.
Right. The war on drugs gets us more drugs. The war on terror gets us more terror. Right. So whatever the war is, we get more of it. So I wish they would do a more on Larry Sharpe millionaires. A war on Larry Sharpe millionaires. Let's do that. We get more of those.
Yes, and Larry, remember Benjamin Franklin said that those who put security above liberty don't deserve it at all. You remember that? He meant it. He was a reason why he said it.
Yes, he was right. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. But that's always my worry. Dave says, why didn't Biden stop the fire in New York City? Yeah, Biden. That's exactly right. It's all Biden's fault.
Was there a fire in New York City?
There, yeah, big one. Back in my old neighborhood, Grand Concourse.
Oh. That's not good.
Yeah, I was in the Bronx. I grew up like a block away from Grand Concourse. And it's on the Grand Concourse, so it's like right in my old neighborhood. So yes, big fire. But yeah, and if you lean left, why did Trump start it? Right. So if you lean right, why didn't Biden stop it? If you lean left, why did Trump start it? That's exactly right. No matter what, it's somebody's fault, and it's always up there. So yeah, absolutely. So Jeff's in the house. Jeff says, for decades, Americans have been conditioned to hyper-focus on the federal government when it's local that affects their lives most. It wasn't always this way. I agree. And I'm going to go back to media. I think, Craig, what you said earlier is real. Like when you have a corporatist media, I think that's when you begin to make everything federal, because it simply makes more sense, more money, more everything, to make everything federal, to make everything black and white, left versus right. I mean, Fox and MSNBC are making money, right? I mean, CNN isn't, but the other two are. They're making money, and MSNBC is all about left, left, left. Fox is all about right, 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 and they're making money. CNN is just a disaster in general, but fine, whatever. Hopefully, they'll go back to be making documentaries or something. But whatever.
And Larry, they're like, if the government keeps saving people or saving these kind of corporations, they can't fail, and they stay there. So if if the little guys aren't getting that same funding, they fall off. But just like with any other corporation, the bailouts and the extra funding the government's giving them, they're staying there. So basically, the government is funding the media in a sense, that's telling us what they want us to hear and know from these two parties.
I'll go further, Doni, and I think the lockdown showed this.
Yes.
What was working was local media was online, right? It was online. That's how you were getting real news. It was actually online. You were getting raw footage, real news, ideas. And the second that came out, the government then, we know from the Twitter files, the government came in and said, oh, no. If it's not our narrative, shut it down.
Kill it.
Shut it down.
Yep.
So when there was competition, to your point, Doni, when there was competition to the mainstream media, the government said, wait a minute, that doesn't fit our left-right narrative paradigm. People are actually thinking, okay, that's a big problem. Let's shut it all down. And I think, yes, they went that far. And obviously we only saw it from Twitter, but we know it's on Facebook, YouTube. I mean, clearly it wasn't just Twitter.
So they admitted this, they being the CIA, admitted that they were doing Project Mockingbird, which was planting stories in the press. Yeah. They said, yes, we are doing that. They didn't say we stopped. They didn't say sorry. They said, yes, we are doing that. And you think they didn't stop? You think they stopped doing it? No, and people, and you're a conspiracy theorist. No, they've admitted to it and they didn't say they stopped. So why do you think they did? They didn't,
And not just that. So they get to put in disinformation, no consequence. I put what I think is, I give my opinion and say it's my opinion, and they go, shadow ban. Done, shadow ban. That's the reality.
And I just point out that I was watching MSNBC a few weeks ago when Biden did his secret trip to Ukraine. And who's on MSNBC now trying to drum up the new war that could be coming very soon? It's Bill Kristol. It's James Clapper. It's John Brennan. These are old deep state or intelligence agency folks who used to be on Fox News when they were drumming up the Iraq war. Right. So they are so good at trying to sell war, and they know right where to go. They were aiming at the right with Fox News back in the early 2000s. And now they know that their war hawks are now the left, the suburb left viewers of MSNBC. So Craig made a great point. They're doing the op-eds and they're doing the news articles, but they're also just putting their faces on TV every day.
Well, this is kind of Doni too, right? Doni's like, oh, I can't make it on this side. I go to that side. So they were like, oh, Republicans don't want to hear me now? I'm a Democrat then. I'm whatever. You want to listen to me? I'm a Democrat. Oh, you won't? I'm a Republican now. I'm whoever's going to listen. That's who I am. So I think this is like reverse Doni, right? I think it is.
Yeah.
So the Scientific Libertarian says, when a program fails, it's only because they need more money. When they succeed, they need more money. Hasn't happened yet. But yes, but they always need more money. That's true. Yes. So the war on drugs is going to work, Craig. Just a couple more billion.
Maybe.
See? Couple more billion.
I mean, we haven't spent a couple more billion. I can't say that wouldn't help. Maybe that's all it needs.
We haven't spent all the money yet. So maybe it'll work.
Maybe that'll be what we need.
Maybe the government, when they take the drugs, they should be putting them back in the neighborhoods, trying to frame people. I'm just saying.
They would never do that. They're the government, Doni. They
never. Our government would never do that to us. They just got caught doing it under Reagan's administration or something like that. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But Travis, I want to go back to your point about pushing the next war, right? And the thing that I bring up constantly is it's kind of what Craig is talking about. Craig said it's always a money scheme. And I think he's right. People think that this is the thing I want to be. There is a nuance I want to make sure that we and the audience understands. The war hawks don't want war or blood or people to die. They want lots of money. They want to be able to sell high-tech stuff at a very high markup. If people die, fine. If they don't die, also fine. As long as I can keep selling high-tech stuff at a huge markup. That's all I care about. So they're not evil, they're apathetic, if that makes any sense.
Well,
they just want to sell their stuff. They don't care who dies. Now that's terrible, don't get me wrong. But if we understand that, we don't think if we just get rid of those people, those evil people, it'll be fine. No, it's systemic. We have to break the military-industrial complex. If we got rid of those 4 people, 4 new people would show up tomorrow.
Right. They want quagmires. They want endless war. They want a quagmire like we had in Iraq, like we had in Afghanistan. And now the writing is on the wall for, I'm sure a lot of your viewers attended or watched online the recent Libertarian Party, the rally against the war hawks, I believe, in D.C. I mean, and you get to see it right there, right? There was at one time a bipartisan group in terms of local officials who then ran for Congress. I'm thinking of guys like Ron Paul, who was a Republican who was against the Iraq War. And then also Ohio's own Dennis Kucinich, former mayor of Cleveland, who ran for Congress. He and Ron Paul used to work together. They both voted against the Patriot Act. They both voted against the Iraq War. They warned against getting into Afghanistan. And now it's fascinating to see them again. They're both neither congressmen anymore, but they were both attending this war rally because they see the writing on the wall. This is what they saw in the lead up to Iraq, the lead up to Afghanistan. And I think we are really seeing a lot of that same stuff now leading up to whatever is going to happen in Ukraine.
So let's walk down that road. How in the world do we stop something like that? I feel like in this case, local is almost useless. I mean, I remember in, 2004, 3, whenever it was, when we had those massive protests against the war. New York City had a huge was it 2003? Well, I forgot when it was. Whatever.
Yeah.
Here we go. Massive. Was it 500,000 people? I mean, it's crazy. I forgot the number. It was tons of people that showed up at that one. And nothing. We still were in Afghanistan for another 18 years. right? The local protests, people ask why. I don't often go to protests. I rarely go to protests, once in a while. But why? Because I feel like they don't work. I'm broken. And I know it sounds terrible, but I'm telling you the truth. I'm broken. I feel like they don't work. If you go there, you get a nice photo op, which is nice. And I like the photo ops, and it shows. You want to go once in a while so people know where you stand, right? That's why I go to places so people know where I stand. They don't think I don't believe in the thing. I believe in the thing. I just don't think they work. And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like localized, even when you go down to DC in March, does it? I don't know. Am I wrong here, guys?
So I was at the war rally, and I saw both Senator Paul or Congressman Ron Paul and Kucinich and Tulsi Gabbard and a bunch of other people speak. And on the whole, they were right. It was a good rally. Everybody said the right things. Everybody had the right idea. Everybody called for unity because there were people there from the left, from the right. There was Green Party. There were socialists. There were all these people, and everyone said, we got to unite together. There were 5,000 people there, though, right? So it's like, okay, we got 5,000 people to take on the war machine. This seems like you're saying, Larry, it seems like it's not going to do much.
Yes.
The question is, it always.
Hold on. Let me walk down this road here for a second, Greg. What if I had 5,000 people and I wasn't protesting the war, but I was protesting a local zoning law in a town? You get 5,000 people to fight a local zoning law in a town. I think you might move somebody with that. But how do you get 5,000 people to come to a town, right? I mean, that's the dilemma, right? I can get 5,000 people to go to see heavy hitters, to see people I want to see, like a Dennis Kucinich, like a Ron Paul, like a Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, Jimmy Dore was there too, right? So people you might want to see. They have these people all have followings that people want to see them. Great. How do I get those 4 people to go to some local thing, like that? And when I tried, you saw me try, Craig. I did it in Utica. I showed up in Utica, and no one else would show up in Utica, right? I was the only one who did. I showed up there, and we had a couple hundred people at one time, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a lot of people. Yep.
Yeah, people show up, but that wasn't enough. Me and Chase went down to Jacksonville. We probably had 50, 60 people at an event, which for a libertarian event for local people was a big deal. 60 people in a room was a big deal, right? We raised money. It was great. I don't know if it's enough. Go ahead, Doni. I'm sorry.
Incentives. This weekend, I was in. Am I muted? No. This weekend, I was in Texas. I'm back in Texas from Kentucky, and I went to an event, predominantly Hispanic Mexican community. They're the game foul community, and they were expecting maybe 200 people to show up. It was a minimum of 2,500 to 3,000, and they got too full and probably got turned away. Just to show their game foul and to show their game foul. They were competing and getting trophies for who had the best looking rooster and hens. Okay. And so that was what that is. And also I got to speak to them. Now it was kind of hard with that big of a crowd. People were talking and everything. But the people were sitting in the crowd taping me, and they didn't really know who I was. If you think about that, if I was just telling one of my friends on the phone about it, and I had shown people the crowd, I posted on Twitter how big the crowd was, and they kept on getting bigger and bigger. If those people, if you need something, you came there for them, they'll start showing up for you. That's why I think it's so important for the organization I was with for them to go to eminent domain stuff so they can talk and meet each other. And we start growing our organizations together and fighting together that can help.
Do you want to mention the organization? I don't mind if you want to promote them.
No, it's the Texas Game Fowl Breeders Association's one. The ROA, that one is, I'm not that good about this, but it's this rule protecting rural people and their animals. And the other one is the Human Defense League. And then the other thing was that one guy basically organized this, and it was at someone else's. They had rodeos out there. It got so big they had to call police not because we need police, but once you get to a certain size, it's considered a rodeo, and you had to have security. And so it got that big. So I think that if we were planning ahead of time and say we wanted to have that event in Austin, that's an incentive. We're already there, so we're close to Austin, and we can all go to the Capitol. Imagine how many people can be there. So I think that locally that could be incentives could help get people to show up and be there for things they actually care about and want to do. They don't necessarily want to be there and talk about your rights and everything, your laws and all that stuff, but they're there because of the fact that look, my rooster looks better than yours. You know what I'm saying? So they want a trophy. And then the other thing I was saying about
So what Donnie's saying is, Craig, is we got to start giving out trophies at all our events.
That's a good idea. Give out some
trophies.
I like it.
But I will say at the federal level, the war thing, I will say it sends a message that not all Americans are down for this. Excuse me. They lie on us all the time and say, America stands with this. The American people stand with this. You have people out there saying, no, we don't. Russia, China, basically don't nuke us. We don't agree with this. They're stealing from us. We don't want them sending our money over to Ukraine. We're not a part of this. I think that had to happen so they understand that not all Americans are okay with this.
So yes. The issue that I'm always coming back to, and you saw this with Governor Hochul with the guns. The Supreme Court says, Governor Hochul, you suck. Those gun laws are unconstitutional. She says, oh yeah, I suck, huh? How's about 10 more of those?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And then what? And then it's in court for another 10 years, and Kathy Hochul is doing whatever she is. She's still ruling us, or she's gone off and done something else. There's no repercussions. Everybody responds, like Donnie said, to incentives. And when I'm in office and there's absolutely no incentive for me to play by the rules or care about what my constituents think, I won't. I don't care. I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So the only way that you can do that is to put them in a cage or throw them out of their office, whatever. You got to hit them personally.
Yeah, but if you don't change, this is my point earlier, right? If you see in New York, literally our people go to jail. Like our politicians in New York State go to jail. That's a thing. They get removed, right? They go to jail. They get removed. And the next one comes in and then they go to jail or they get removed.
Yes, I'm not talking. I'm saying throw all the bums out. You got to throw them all out.
But my point, even if you threw every single one of them out tomorrow and we revoted completely, within 2 years, the corrupt ones are back again, right? This is for those of you who aren't in New York, this is a very New York thing. You might have heard it before. A lot of our guys get arrested and or charged, whatever. And here's the thing. They're not like that guy from Illinois, Blagojevich.
Yeah.
Blagojevich said, I didn't do it. It's not true. You understand, blah, blah, blah. Like most people get caught, they have an excuse. I didn't do it, blah, blah. New York never does that. They always say the same thing. No, I did it. It's the only way to get things done. It's the system.
Oh my.
Yeah, I did it. Yes. Because I had to. Because I can't get anything done if I don't. The entire system is corrupt. Judges go, yeah, you're right, but you're going to jail. But I literally can't, like everybody's guilty. Once you target us, we're all going to jail because the system is made to be corrupt. I can't do anything without bribing people. And they always say it out loud. It's not like it's hidden. You can see it. They said it. Every single time they say it, they keep doing it. Judges put him in jail. And we in New York go, yeah, we got the guy. We didn't change the system. The next guy's as bad as the guy before him. I was talking to the Forward Party guy, Will Conway, last Friday. He was on the show last Friday. And I brought up a question. And the question was, okay, if you get someone from the Forward Party who follows these great ideals of the Forward Party and gets elected, how do you get them to not just turn? Right? To Donnie's point. Well, I can't do well as Forward. Now I'm a Republican or whatever. Now I'm a Democrat, right? I'm a whatever it takes to get, cash in my pocket. How do you change that? And I look at it from my own view. You guys know that AOC is my congressperson. And I believe in my heart that when AOC busted her rump the first time around trying to get this Congress seat, I believe she thought she was going to make change. I believe that she believed she was going to go in there and make things better for her people. And maybe I don't know her personally, so maybe she's a bad person. I don't know that. But I believe that she felt that when she started. She has done nothing for anybody in my community at all. Now she just takes the money. She's now getting more money. Now she's doing, makeup tutorials, on TikTok.
She killed a union. She killed a union.
She helped kill a union.
She killed the railroad union. Also, isn't that a coincidence? I wonder about that. Like, we just had a railroad strike, a national one. It was a big deal. And then we kill it. And then miraculously, 2 months later, we have a big problem on the railroad. So they're related somehow, but how much is did it come as a result? Is this payback? What is this?
But my point I'm trying to make here though is that even if, and again, I don't know, this is just my feeling, I have no evidence. Even if AOC wanted to make things better for New Yorkers, and I'm assuming she did want that, she's one of them now, right? Again, whether you like her policies or not, whatever you might care about AOC, she's one of them now. How do we stop? If we don't change the system, no matter who gets in, they're going to do the Doni and go, oh, now I'm Republican. Oh, now I'm Democrat. Who got more money? I'm that person, right? They're going to do that. I think the only answer is somehow to either go what Travis is talking about, which is no parties in some way, or you got to have a bunch of parties to where people can feel comfortable that they have a way of moving forward without having to go against the system, because they screwed Kucinich. You know this, Travis. As soon as Kucinich was like, I'm not part of you guys, out you go. And to be forward, I think, as much as I'm a Ron Paul fan, Ron Paul was able to keep his seat for so long because he was literally a doctor who had serviced his own community. His community loved him. If his community
delivered babies for free.
Correct. If the community didn't love him, the Republican establishment would have got rid of him.
Larry, you just brought up what I was about to say. What are you doing now? How are you serving your community now? That will, one, already you're engaged with your community, no matter what they say about you or anything in dirt they throw at you. No, I know this person. They've already been working here. Start practicing now. Start doing your own podcasts and shows. Maybe you're not that great of a speaker. Start practicing and start talking now. Start actually doing things and helping people in your neighborhood and your community. And so that you know, I actually like doing this, or I can't be bought corrupt. I actually have a mission, or my goal is to do the right thing. And in a sense, you can prove it already, so people feel more confident in supporting you. I thought I did that in a sense before I ran for mayor, but not in my city necessarily. I did in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was helping other candidates and knocking doors and speaking at rallies. That wasn't enough. I wasn't serving the people in my community when I did that. I was serving the Republican Party and those candidates, and that's a big difference. And then now, after I did not win the election, by the way, I did not win the election and get the seat, but I still won. I learned a lot from that. And I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm doing today if I would have won. So in a sense, it was a great experience. I didn't really lose in my mind, necessarily, because of where I'm at today. But the thing is, you have to be out there serving your community, not a party, not those certain things. Because what I'm doing now, I'm serving my community, and I'm serving multiple different states too, in a sense. And those people are like, Doni, we're going to make you our governor. They're saying that to me. I said already that I wasn't going to run for anything else anymore. But they're saying, we want you. We never got Kentucky saying, no, we want her. So that's what happens is you actually serve your community, then they want you.
I like to back Doni up because that's the same exact thing that happened to me when I ran for mayor of my hometown 15 years ago. I ran on a zoning issue. Just in the neighborhood I grew up in, the local university was buying up homes and then colluding with City Hall to get the areas rezoned so they could knock down the homes and build up dorms and build up administrative buildings for the college. So the college was slowly encroaching on all the neighborhoods, specifically in my case, the one that I grew up in. That's why I ran for mayor, because City Hall wasn't listening. And by just running for mayor and talking about what was happening, I was one of 8 candidates. Again, we had no political parties involved. Check it out, AmericanMayorMovie.com. Fantastic. It's a feel-good ending, I promise. Even though, like Doni, I didn't win, I saved my community.
Now you blew the ending. We all thought you became mayor.
Believe me. With his hair, they would never let me be mayor. Please.
I know. Bernie Sanders was the mayor of Burlington.
That's true.
You never
I got to
know,
move to Burlington. I got to move to Burlington. But again, just by running, I was able to become friends with the guy who did become mayor. And then city council listened. And then the zoning commission listened. And then we curbed the university expanding. And now, even 15 years later, I'm in the 4th of July parade last year. And I'm every block. People know me. People are waving. And that's just like Doni said. You're serving your community. And people remember that. That sticks with people.
Well, it's funny you say that because a lot of people thought I was nuts for doing the thing that I do every year. And again, Craig is part of it, so he knows. I do what I call the full Sharpe. I literally cross New York State every single year. I go to every single county, even when I'm not running. So I've been doing it since 2018. So this will be my 6th one this year. So I've crossed my states this year 6 times. And gone to every single county, an event in every single county every year when I'm not running. And the reason why I do it is I'm not, to be forward, I don't think I was thinking about serving the community, Don. That wasn't what I was thinking. What I was thinking is I talk about localization all the time. That's one of my big things. I talk about counties being counties, having more sanctuary counties, stop having Albany, which is our capital, run everything. Let's let local people run more things. And I said, if I'm going to talk the talk, I have to walk the walk. And I can't just sit in New York City all day. I got to cross the state and show respect to every county. And that's why I was doing it. But I think people are seeing it the way you're saying, Doni. I'm just being honest. I wasn't thinking the way you're thinking, but I think it's coming across that way. Because whenever I go to those places, again, I'm preaching to the choir here with Craig, literally I learn about the local place, and I very often do a video about the local place. This is the local place. This is what matters here. This is what's special about the place, blah, blah. Craig had me climb a mountain. It's a true story. Craig had me climb a mountain. I had to do one on top of a mountain. So I had to climb a mountain once because New York State has mountains. Many people who don't know New York don't know that, but New York has lots of mountains. So I had to climb a mountain once too. So I see your point. And I think I was doing something, but I guess what I'm saying, Don, is I should be thinking differently about why I'm doing it. I should change my mindset. It should be more your mindset than I think it was mine.
I just think we just weren't unaware that's what we were doing. I wasn't aware of it at first. It kind of just clicked to me. Then that's why I said I realized I was serving a party and not the community, So now what I'm doing is serving that, I talked to you, Larry, offline a bit, about what I've been doing. Yep. What do you think about things? That's another thing we do too. We got to stick together and start talking and getting advice from each other too. Because in a sense, you're serving other people who are trying to do the same thing. When we do that, that helps a lot.
Absolutely.
We need allies.
Dave brings up, he goes, move to Iowa and visit all 99 counties. I stole my full Sharpe from Iowa. Grassley is from Iowa, and he goes to every county, and he calls it the full Grassley. So I stole it from him and called the full Sharpe.
Well,
so
I can't wait for your wrestling match between you and Chuck Grassley, the full Sharpe versus the full Grassley.
Isn't Chuck Grassley like 95 years old?
Yeah, that's what Larry could win.
I got him. I think you got this, Larry. 105. I got him. No worries.
Larry, doesn't Delaware only have 3 counties? I mean, that'd be easy.
I should go Delaware. Yes.
That's what launched Joe Biden's political career.
I was just gonna say you could fight the 95-year-old Joe Biden.
Either one. I got both of them. Yes. I just want to make sure anyone's at least 50 years older than me, and I'm good. That's all I'm worried about. Yes. And I got them. That's all that matters. 100%.
That's perfect.
So let me grab a couple more comments if I could. Dan is messing with Craig. He goes, I believe Craig climbs mountains. I may be profiling his mustache and beard. Yeah.
I do climb mountains. The Adirondacks.
He does.
Yep.
You're not wrong. I literally call Craig a mountain man.
Nice. I'm going to call him that too now. It's pretty cool.
I do like it. It's good. And he's not mad. He's like, yeah, that's me. He's totally fine with it. So yes.
I'd like to just be left alone in the mountains. But the problem is if you go there and try to live alone or something, or make a family or a homestead, the state, they want no, you got to pay taxes on that land. Or did you grow some wheat? Don't you know that's a violation of the Interstate Commerce Clause? Like you can't even go and live in the mountains.
Yeah. They won't stay there. They got to get a piece of you no matter what.
Yep.
I remember it's very odd, but have you ever seen the movie 30 Days of Night? It is a movie from several years ago. It's a vampire movie.
In Alaska.
In Alaska, yes. Barrow, Alaska is the most northern city in the United States, and it's based there. And the vampires realize, hey, let's go here because it's like nighttime for like 6 months, and we can go outside if we want because we're vampires, right? Mm-hmm. So they go there, right? And before the vampires come, the sheriff is talking about things, right? And very few people obviously live in this place. It's bitter cold, and like the sheriff is like the cop, right? So he gives a parking ticket to a guy. And the woman goes to him and says, why do you give him a parking ticket? The guy drives in once a month to get his mail. Then he goes back out to his freaking igloo. Like, why are you bugging him? Leave him alone. And the cop says, nah, he needs to know he's part of us. So that's why I give him a ticket. And I thought, what a jerk.
Right.
But that was supposed to be, if you watch the movie, that's like a good thing, like, because he cares about him. right? That's how it comes across in the movie. So if you watch, I mean, it's not that good of a movie. So if you don't like vampire movies, don't watch it.
He could have just baked him some cookies.
Movies,
well, hey, you're part of us. Here's some cookies.
You could have given them cookies. I like that better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically it's a microcosm for the state. Honestly, that's all it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Craig. And that was my point you were bringing with the mountain thing. It made me think of that part of the movie. I was upset by that part of the movie when I was watching others. They were like, "Aw." I'm like, "Don't go, aw." That's not a good thing.
You have Stockholm syndrome. That's literally the abuser telling they love you while they're doing abusive things.
Now, Doni got the right answer. You care about the guy, give him some cookies. That's an awe. That would be amazing. Look, guy comes in every once in a while to get his mail. You give him some cookies. Aw, that's nice.
I gotta know, did the vampires get that sheriff? I gotta know if there was some revenge in the movie or not.
No. Well, I don't. Well, I'll let's just say he's the star of the movie.
Okay.
So you think the vampires got him?
I'm gonna guess that the sheriff is running with the vampire party because that's how you know they suck.
He's probably a vampire.
That's how they know they suck.
Yeah, he's probably over there giving them their food and have a menu and everything. He's probably working with them.
He's probably working with the vampires now. Yes. Vote for me and we'll never have daytime. There we go, yes.
No, you
outlaw
joke.
The sun. I will outlaw the sun tomorrow.
Joe Biden literally said, "Elect me president and I will cure cancer."
Yeah, he did.
He literally said that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, he's got 2 more years left.
He only got 2 years left. Okay. Well, you know, Ukraine first, then
cancer second.
That's all. That's all. Okay. I got it. I hope he cures it. That'd be amazing.
I don't know. Maybe a nuclear war will.
Well, if we're all dead, there is no cancer.
Yeah. So that's a cure. That's a cure for cancer, I guess.
There'll be no more cancer if we're all dead. So I guess he's right.
Can't catch cancer if you can't live.
I think there's already a cure for cancer. You know, they've already been showing that THC actually kills cancer cells. So, I mean, they just want us to die anyways. They already have the cure. We already have the things to get rid of it. They just don't want us to.
I'm actually going to have a guy on my show come a couple weeks from now who's talking about how cancer cells are fueled by carbs and sugar. So if you don't eat carbs and sugar, your cancer will go in remission because it can't eat.
Darn, this has carbs in it.
Here we go. So I have decided, I'm not a doctor. I've decided this because it sounds good to me. I'm immune from cancer now because I've been on keto for 13 years. So I've decided I'm immune from cancer. Done. It's that easy.
Wow. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yes, I'll be a good president one day. I can just announce stuff and it'll be true. Done.
I identify as cancer-free. I identify as cancer-free.
There we go. I identify as not having cancer. Done. Problem solved. All good. I love that. So let me grab a couple more if I can. A bunch of people are popping up. I appreciate so many of these little ones. Kathy says, the Vermont legislature is shoving horrible little bills through like there's no tomorrow. Help. This is the other piece, and this is what you were talking about, Travis, is that if we're not paying attention, they just start putting in bills. And then we go to what Doni talked about. They don't care if they're constitutional or not. They just put them in. And then hopefully somebody will notice. They usually don't. Obviously, Kathy's paying attention, but she's probably the only one. If no one's paying attention, the unconstitutional bills just stay. And here's the worst part about judges. There are so many terrible things about judges. Let me give you what I think the worst one is if they can find a precedent, they will accept it. No matter how stupid that precedent is, it does not matter how dumb it is. So they'll say, well, one judge once said that if you're over 6'2", you deserve to die. So this killing people with 6'2" law, there's a precedent, we'll keep it. Okay, wait, but it's clearly unconstitutional. You shouldn't be murdering people because of their height. Yeah, but there's a precedent. They will literally break constitutionality because of a precedent. And they do it all the time. All they want to be able to do is go, it's not my fault. Literally, when I was in court fighting to get on the ballot, the judge said, you got to give me a reason. That's what he said. Judge Weinstein, you got to give me a reason. I'm giving you a constitutional argument. Yeah, but is that a reason? Did someone else say? I'm showing you how wrong it is. I'm showing you how bad it is. I'm giving you the argument that this is bad. He's like, yeah, but I don't make a decision.
Why do you sit there with a funny wig and a skirt then? Why do you do that?
Judge with a funky robe on? Isn't that the reason why you're wearing robes? Because you make decisions and stuff? But no. So, yes, bad, and more bad. So, Sunday Libertarian says, no checks and balances? Wait, there's plenty of checks. He's right. There are lots of checks. And I would bet that AOC's balance is getting very high right now. Right? I would bet it is. So there are checks and balances, just the wrong types of checks and balances. I think the wrong type. That's the issue. So yes. So Joe goes on and goes, Trump said he paid the debt off. Yeah, that didn't work either. So yeah, that didn't work either. So yes. So guys, before we wrap this up, is there anything that we missed, something we should be bringing up? What did we miss?
The lady from Delaware said help. So I wanted to
That's Vermont,
back.
By the way.
Vermont. It's my bad. Vermont. I mean, is she gonna reach out to myself? Maybe I could do something. I don't know what the help is that she needs. But we got to remember too that we have to be able to help ourselves. We can't outsource our duty to protect our own rights and our liberties to anyone else, because it is our responsibility. But I would say that have you read your state constitution? Have you been to any of your council meetings? Are you participating? Because one thing you kind of do need to learn the system that they set up for us, that we're not supposed to win. So you can find the loopholes like I've been doing in Texas right now. I said I'm in Austin. I've been looking at our loopholes in Texas Constitution. I'm looking for in other states.
I like that.
And so we have the right to also reform or abolish our government in Texas however we see expedient. And so
let me walk down this road with you for a second, Donnie. I think you've made a very valid point. So if you're sitting there thinking, I need help, and it seems like it's daunting, please reach out to someone like me or Doni or Travis, Craig, anyone who's been talking to stuff. Reach out and say, hey, what's my first step? Right? How do I start walking down this road?
Yeah.
And let us help if we can. Maybe we know something, a place to start, right? But the second piece, the odds are you're going to need a lawyer. Not always, but the odds are you need a lawyer, or a lawyer will help in some way, shape, or form. Because remember, almost everyone in government is a lawyer. Not all, but almost all of them are lawyers. So if you can get a lawyer, they speak the same language. They are priests of the same religion. So it's good if you can find a lawyer. The problem is, Larry, I can't afford a high-powered lawyer. I get it. Me either. I spent a lot of money on lawyers in this last year. One thing you can do, though, can you offer that lawyer something else? Can you offer that lawyer some type of marketing, some type of value, some type of referral system? Can you offer that lawyer something else to advise you? Because often just have a call with Doni, see what she says, then have a call with a local lawyer and have him translate for you. Right? Okay. In our area, this is the person, what they're going to say. This is the way you have to phrase it. This is the way it goes through. This is the language you use. You put that combo together, you can probably get something done. I hope I didn't go too far, but I think that's a very good way of thinking about how you can get stuff done. Am I right, Doni, or am I off?
Right. And you're right. And that's why we're here, so that you guys can have those people. We're not those people that are untouchable, who won't help you. We're not here to grift. We're not here to, just do this because it's fun. We're here to do this because we care. Yeah, we do this because we care. And we want to change. We are trying to fight and get our liberties back. So we're not grifting for a check. We're here to help you.
It's not fun at all. Last year was brutal. It was not fun at all. Her name is Kathy, by the way. So Kathy.
Okay, Kathy.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah. And I'll just add on to what Doni said, because that's absolutely correct. Know the system, know how things work in your home state, in your home county, in your home city, town, township, whatever it is. And I'm not grifting here, but I do want Kathy to go watch American Mayor at AmericanMayorMovie.com, because literally, Kathy, this is a situation where sometimes you got to go beyond activism and become the candidate. And in my case, I was 24 years old, straight out of college. I just come home, saw the zoning issue happening. The first thing I did, I went to my county board of elections and I asked a nice old lady named Marlene, how do I run for mayor of my hometown? And it is her job to tell me and to show me and to give me the paperwork and the DVD with all the rules and regulations of how to get signatures correctly and to turn them in and get on the ballot. So Kathy, one thing you can do if you can, if you have the means and you have the time, is actually run for office yourself. And I just want to harp on one more thing that Craig pointed out, because this has actually stuck with me. Craig mentioned that the war rally in D.C. had 5,000 people, and he made a valid point. Like Larry said, back in 2003, we had hundreds of thousands of people in the street, and it didn't stop the war machine. But 5,000 people in 2020, the Libertarian Party had a thing going on in the state of Wyoming called the Frontier Project.
I remember.
It was the height of COVID, and I had nothing else to do, so I went out to Wyoming to work on this Frontier Project. And what the Frontier Project was, it was running libertarians against Republicans and Democrats in two-way races for the state legislature, because in Wyoming, the population's 500,000. They have 100 state legislators in the House. And so each state legislature district is just 5,000 people. And about 3,500 of those folks actually vote, which means the win number for our libertarian candidates was around 2,000. And if we could get near that, then we won. And it actually worked. We got a man named Marshall Burt elected to the state legislature. He was the first third-party state legislature elected since 1914 in the state of Wyoming. And while he was in office for about 2 years, he was able to do tripartisan legislation. So again, Craig made a valid point. It depends on where these 5,000 people are. But in a place like Wyoming, in one state house district, the number is 5,000 and only 3,500 of them vote. So never underestimate the power of what 5,000 people can do, depending on where they are in this country.
There we go. I love it. Well, guys, if you were watching this, you like it, please click that like button. I say all the time, it does matter tremendously. Do it. If you watch this on Twitter, please retweet this now. Every little bit counts. It really does. Absolutely. And follow the people here if you would. Follow Travis at Travis Irvine USA on Twitter. Doni the Don _ on Twitter, and Diff 2 Fs, frequencies 3 Fs on Twitter for Craig. Follow all three of them to make sure you're giving them a little bit of love back that they gave you tonight. Guys, thank you so much for tonight. I'm glad you gave me a little bit of your time. I will be back on tomorrow at 1 on my radio show, and then again at 7 with another awesome interview. I will see you all